Good morning, friends. Yeah, so this is what I'm worried about, honestly. I've been hearing a lot of mixed results about stores just not having product. No fun. There's a couple problems with that, in all honesty. Like, we want to go to stores, we want to play. Sometimes we want to win store credit, but when a new set comes out, I don't know. I don't mind winning packs of the new set, So it's tough, seems. It's tough. Yeah, so this is interesting to hear, and I think this has always been true for the most part, that UK just has like a much easier problem, like much easier time getting product. So I'm not sure if it's an NA thing, I'm not sure if it's like other countries either, but it does seem like you could, get away with it too much. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for being over there for a minute there. Look, look, boom. Most important meal of the day. Yeah, I purposely waited to make my coffee this morning for this so I can, make today magical. But this is very hot, so we have to let it cool off for now. But yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. I think, the topic of the day, I'll probably keep coming back to it every now and then, is definitely, can you still get product in your LGS? Because it's nice that that was weird. Said my mic was unplugged. Let me make sure everything's going on okay. All right. I did move it. Maybe I jiggled the unplug. But yeah, so what I think is nice about stores getting products before big box is that, we have the ability to get it. We're going to get there. I promise. We'll get there shortly. I just wanted to start with this one real quick. And yeah, so now it's okay, our stores got the product, and I think there's a lot of unfair questions about this as well, because I don't have all the answers, but I do wonder a couple things. And this is mostly from, wow, what a great hoodie. I know yours is here, not in my house yet. I have to drive and go get it, but shout out to Pave this morning, hanging out. Pave 2XL, obviously, guys. Or 2X Pave, that's what it was. 2X Pave. So it's one of those where I think it's great that the stores get it early, but now I'm starting to question, with the game getting bigger, with the game getting more popular, are we actually getting enough product to stores? Because you kind of go in and you have a bunch of players that come out, a bunch of players buying boxes. I think I'm curious to, I guess the other question that could be asked is what tier of player are you? I think there's players that go in and they buy a case and then they sell off their extras and they pick up what they need. I think there's players that might only buy a box, they might be only buy 2 boxes. So I'm really curious, what is really happening in these stores that, within a week, they're just gone. Because yeah, who wants to go and play in League? I listen, I'll go and play League every week if it's store credit. I don't care. I will take it forever, because the store credit will just add up and add up and add up, and I'll use it for whatever I need, sleeves, etc. But I am wondering, those stores that don't do store credit, if they're doing product and they got in all their set 7 product and now it's gone, what are you guys playing for at League? Is it only the cards? And I know that's a whole debacle too. I still see questions about what to do with League kits, which I think is hilarious. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting that we're 2 weeks in. Big Box is about to get the release this week. I think it's the 21st officially. Might be the 22nd. I can't remember. And we're like we're just out of product already. Like I don't think I can just like go and like to the store that I support the most. I don't think I can just like go and buy a box. Like it's just not possible. And I don't know that they're even able to restock, which I think is very interesting. Like, do you think there's a world where the distribution is only set to give out this one load and then we just don't even get a restock of it? I don't think that's good for stores either. Like how great would it be for a store to go, oh man, I sold 50 boxes this weekend. I want to go buy more. And then like they can't. I don't know. I think that's where I'm at. So I really, as we go through the day, I'm going to keep coming back to that. I'm going to keep coming back as we get more people in here. I'll probably bring up that conversation again, but we'll top it off here. What do we got? I think it's a missed bag. A few stores here sell a product, but one of mine only got 7 boxes. Oof. I think they're going to be making the gap smaller. Okay. Will be interesting for the next set having LGS only having 1 week early release. Yeah, bit of a worry. I think stores get a little too little, and I also think we as players maybe also buy. Okay, listen, there can't be a cap on what you're allowed to buy. like there can be in a way, but it should still be. I think most stores, if you ask most stores like what they would want from their player base, it would certainly be, I want all of my players to buy as much as they can within reason, So I look at it like, what we do, we're not necessarily taking away from what the store is generally going to buy, right? Like we are legitimately putting a down payment through the store to get what we would like to buy within reason. And that's not even like a guaranteed, even I have a cap on what I'm allowed to buy. So for these player bases that, I would say in the more competitive player bases, it's probably a bit more likely that they're the ones that want to get product early because it's better to get product more average early possible than it is to buy singles week 1. Whereas now that we're a few weeks in, if you haven't bought any product, you don't really care. You're just going to buy the singles. You're like, whatever's good is what I'm going to buy. But I think the stores would certainly be happy to say, man, if everyone in my store wanted to buy a case, I would love to be able to do that. And I think that this is where the question becomes like, is the store doing its due diligence? Is the store leading up to release when they put these orders in, let's say a month out, in middle of February? I feel like around set championships times, like in that time frame, they should be asking people like, hey, like, do you know what you want to pre-order? Because if you're going to pre-order a certain amount, we'll make sure that we get, like, we do our best to get to that cap, and then we'll figure out what happens if we can't. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't think it's fair to say we buy too much. Ideally, you would be setting back product for leak. I mean, I hope so. I have a ridiculous amount of promos from League over the sets. I want the Mad Hatter pin, though, and the events can be few and far between. Rough. I went to an event on release night. We were promised Archazias Island for constructed event prior to midnight. When we went to get our product, they sadly were oversold. Take Shimmering Skies. Yeah, not ICG. That's rough. That's no bueno. My LGS was short printed. No good. My GL says out of boxes. I missed out being on spring break out of the country over the release. Oh yeah, you missed out being on spring break. No, I'm just kidding, Crystal. I hope it was a good vacation. I can't believe you pre-ordered a case and they sold it though. That's messed up. Like if you pre-ordered it, I mean they gotta hold that. That's rough. Sure. I agree. Yeah, that's fair. Buy a box promo. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I didn't get a buy a box promo, so I don't know. I think part of the issue is the pre-sale was a cool incentive for the first year of the game, but after that, when we have larger events taking place, it makes it harder to justify a long gap. It only makes it justify a larger gap though, because it feels like the stores aren't getting enough. And I also think, for what it's worth, that they are two very different audiences. Like, I think your audience for, big box stores are just like kids walking in with their parents, maybe the occasional player walking in and seeing like something that they didn't have. I generally, for me, if I can't get my playmats opening weekend, I normally will just buy them at Target or I'll buy them at Best Buy, because I'll walk in, I'll see it, I'm like, oh, cool, I didn't get this yet. Like, I'll grab it, But the thing, for me is that, like, this competitive player, like the concept of a competitive player is that we want to get the cards immediately. So having the local game stores where we go to and where we play and where we participate, having the product early and like ready for us on time, I think is a big deal. That 2-week gap, like, it's nice to get a whole bunch more product in flow, but realistically, most stores, I want to say this, most LGSs aren't charging you $6 a pack. They're charging you maybe $4.50 a pack, maybe $5 a pack, like on average. I would say like $120 to $125 a box, things like that. So in a world where if more product was going to LGSs early, I still think it would be more beneficial for players in general, because I don't think like the average, like slightly more than casual player is going to Target and buying packs unless they like really, really need it. But it's really like, that's not a position you want to be in anyway as a player. If you're buying blisters from Target, from Best Buy, from Walmart, like, just go buy singles. Like, the singles are way better. I feel bad for you in Canada, sir. I do. I tell you what, though, I have a couple Canadian friends that live up there, and there was a conversation we had a couple weeks ago about all of the crap going on with tariffs and all that stuff. And I do generally worry about like what the Canadian pack might end up costing. So that's something that's definitely going to be monitoring for a little while here, is if some of this political crap continues to go on, which I hate talking about, I don't want to talk about. I do worry about things like that really affecting the cost of the game. The big question would be, how much product are stores getting? Are they getting 100 boxes, or are they only getting 30 boxes? Is the supply an issue? Right. That's the whole point, right? Is that I don't know that information. I don't have access to every store and like how they're running it. I know even for us, like the store that we get our product from, they don't even really have a league, because they don't have a true local community that was showing up weekly. So they're just like, they still shoot for the moon. I think they got 200, maybe 220 boxes. And it didn't seem like too big of an issue. But I think the issue now is that they sold out those 200 boxes and they can't get more. Right. And that's like where it's like, wow, like we sold out our 200 boxes real quick. I think they were the best box price literally in a 2-hour radius as far as I know. I mean, they were selling boxes for 110 and then cases for 400. So like the idea that you were able to get a case for 400 is pretty insane compared to most of these places that are only letting people buy like 1 or 2 boxes at $120, $125. So, I'm not shocked that they sold out, but it's unfortunate that they probably can't get more, 122 a box is real money. 100%. Like 122 boxes is not, it's not cheap. It feels real great when you open a Tamatoa, because it's like, oh, that's more than half the box opening weekend at least. And then Enchanted, it's like, I will say this set compared to last set, I do think is a little, it's like, I think Sunday or Monday after release, we ran the numbers for it. And the average, like, I'm trying to think of the wording I want to use, but basically what a box was actually worth like $130. So if you were able to get a $120 box, technically you were saving $10, because the average, like what the sales price was on cards was kind of averaging out to it. And that was like heavily favored on the prices of Enchantments, because Enchantments right now, like, were pretty high. And I think they were much higher than Azurite Sea as an example. And then obviously the foil, or not the foil, but just the legendary prices alone were all kind of high. Expected value. See, This is why you guys are here. You're here to help me. The expected value. So it was nice to see that, like, after release, like 3, 4, or 5 days after release, that it was holding the cost of the pack because the expected value was so high. But since then, you know, we have kind of started to dip off. It's kind of drop off a little bit. There's still a couple cards that are pretty nicely priced, and I think that they're pretty fair. But you know, we might still have $70 Tamatoas, but it's probably closer to like 60 now. 65 is my guess. I don't know how quickly we'll get back to 50. The big box release is interesting because people will buy more product, and like with that, they'll get more. But like, this is kind of where I'm going into, where that secondary market gets really awkward, because if stores don't have packs for sale, like if card stores don't have packs for sale, that means the players that already like bought their stuff, they're not getting new packs. They're not winning new packs, so they're not like putting more cards into like the seller's market, which I think is interesting. So I don't know. That's where I'm kind of mad. I think the product stuff is like just very, very weird, and I think it's like it's very awkward to be like a good problem to have. Like in set 1 and set 2, it was also like a good problem to have. I understand people were very upset because they couldn't get product, but like Ravensburger selling out their product every set is phenomenal, right? And I think they're still trying to play that balancing act. Like we saw in set 1 and set 2, they were kind of under, and then they had to like come out on top and like really go overboard, like what we believe with Inklands and potentially Ursula's Return. And that's why you're seeing all these Inklands getting dumped on Amazon. Ursula's Return, I think, is very, very close to getting like an official dump too. So like those two sets might just start popping up and everything again. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. Very, very tough to say. Never had Shumi. Yeah, so like I think this is definitely a common thing. Were they late paying my local store in the UK? Got plenty of time. Yeah, that's I keep hearing that local stores I keep hearing that UK, you guys rock and you have 0 issues. 0 issues. I still remember when struggling to get, listen, I don't even want to talk about Gen Con, but I might talk about something at the end of this that's not Gen Con, similar to Gen Con. But yeah, Gen Con 2023. Nightmares. I have no idea. I don't track these things. I get told them when they happen. I'm like, okay, cool. It is a nice opportunity, but again, you're paying, I believe it's always MSRP. So you're paying 140 plus shipping, I think, on these things on Disney. Like that's the benefit of LGSs, because you're not paying that top dollar price. And like even TCG Player, I think TCG Player has them somewhere between 130 and 140. So basically MSRP after shipping, if you have to pay for. So I don't know. Good start. Good morning chat there. Coffee, guys. It's delicious. What do you think about the Amethyst Amber Hyper Aggro nowadays? What do I think? I question if it's even the best aggro deck. I think there's a real debate right now about what the best aggro deck is, if that makes sense. I think it's pretty easy to argue that Sapphire Steel is. Disney drops on LGS release at Walt Disney World, and yeah. And they also, you know, shout out to our Disney fanatic here, Lizard Kitty. She needs to change her Twitch name, guys. This needs to be TFM something, you know? What's she doing? But yeah, they had the Ana, right? The Ana come out, and they sold out instantly. Like instantly. I see people I've seen them on Facebook Marketplace for $50 a pop. I'm like, okay. I guess that's what it is. Yeah, so like aggro. What's the best aggro deck? I think that this is a choice that you can make, but I don't know that it's the best. And I think that's like a whole conversation in itself, right? Is that like it's also very interesting to me. I don't know, just in general, because right now I think that I think there are key points that like aggro need to be successful, and it's very difficult to hit all of them. But you know, I do think that Amethyst Amber is probably lower on the tiers for me than anything with Doc in it. I think Doc is just like too good to not be playing for aggro decks. That's where I'm at. Sapphire because the new bell. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, guys. It's pretty good. Oh man, how do I feel? I did like this is I love this. But I don't think anyone's figured it out yet, and I think it's probably too slow. I will say that there is a route for this deck to potentially be successful, because I think we're seeing the Sapphire Steel decks having issues with evasive characters. So there might be a world that you can build this deck to kind of do what you want to do, and then still have like some evasive threats in it. So there might be some game there. There might be. There's definitely some points that kind of like follow to build a good version of it. Amethyst Steel seems interesting. I mean, it's always been good, guys. It's always been good. That's why we have a working Metafy guide on it for like 7 months now. Always a choice for us, for sure. Lemon Lime. I have very mixed feelings about this deck. We do have a teammate that's working on this. Shout out to Nate. Nate has been really working on the Lady Aggro deck, and you know his list is pretty close to what people are going on. He's trying some different stuff out here and there, but I like what this deck does, and I think it's consistent enough, but it still feels like a deck that is absolutely miserable going second, right? Oh no, we have a secret imposter Zach Bibbins in the house. He's not an imposter. Good morning, Zach. So yeah, right. I think that's the problem, is that like the Lady of the Tramp deck is really cool. It does a lot. I still think there's a lot that people are figuring out about it, because there's so many play lines that seem very difficult. Every time I've watched it now over the last few weekends, it seems like you're playing like the thinking man's aggro deck, as I would call it, because there's so many like combat tricks, right? That's like kind of just involved in some of your sweet plays. 4 willpower is king in the format, by the way. So that's why I think the deck is most successful, is because it's showcasing how powerful the 4th willpower is, or the resist one. I think they're 2 very key factors right now in the metagame. And this deck does it really well. And it does it like almost like you said, almost like a imposter in a way, because like, you know, you see all these characters and they're just like 0-4s and they're just 1-4s. You're like, they can't interact. They can't do anything on my board. And the next thing you know, we're we're just like, we'll marry, buff that. We'll tramp, we'll buff that. Take out your dude, and then you just have damage laying around. And your opponent's like, crap, like what's going on? And then you're like, yeah, Rapunzel, I'll draw 3 cards. This is sick. Like this is so sick. So I do think it's defensible to say that deck might be the best Rapunzel deck, which I think is cool. It's been a little while since we've had a real true Rapunzel powerhouse. Like obviously Rapunzel's been in every Amber deck for the end of time, but I think that this deck might be like really playing into what Rapunzel is all about, which I found very, very exciting. But I guess we could take a look at some of these, right? So I'll quickly add this to the stage. There's only one difference this week from last week, or from this round from last round, and one of the players switched from Sapphire Steel items to Sapphire Steel aggro. That's it. Everybody else pretty much stayed the same, made some modifications to their deck. There was 2 players that did not make any modifications, and that was Zan. He went with the same 60, and Federico, I believe, also went with the same 60. So aside from that, there's some interesting notes here, right? Only 2 Amethyst decks. When I look at only 2 Amethyst decks, it makes me make a few considerations, because I just told you guys that 4 willpower is kind of king, and it's kind of king because there are less foxes running around, you know? So all of a sudden, like cards like Alice just get to stick around forever, because there's not like this Fox that freely answers it, even when you don't have Pluto, because people just don't have the willpower laying around. But it's also coming up in a lot of these other decks where, you know, daisies are lasting longer, all of the Nalas, the Little Johns, like all of those things, Lawrence, like all these characters are kind of just like really hanging out and being competitive because there's a lot less Foxes in the world to kind of remove them. And it's really interesting to note that here when we're talking about, you know, 16 of like some of the best players in the world all registering these decks for this event and saying, yeah, Fox isn't a card that I want to play right now. I think it's interesting, you know? And obviously this tournament is not Worlds, right? Like it's not the same type of concept, but it's close enough. But yeah, I think it's interesting to note that there is only 2 Amethyst decks here in general. Of course, everything else, not too shocking, right? Ruby-Sapphire Control being the most played still is interesting, but Sapphire Steel in general being the most dominant ink combo makes a lot of sense. I will give a shout out, like obviously, like Mo is still trying things with the Ink Geyser deck, which I think is interesting. Diego is playing the Amber Steel aggro, and of course, Bibbins hanging out with us is playing Amber Steel songs. And then Kurt is the Emerald Steel discard. We'll take a look at some of this. Let's see what we're starting here. We have. I'm gonna go full screen for this one. So I'm trying to use ink decks to the best of our ability because not all the decks were loading for me on Dreamborn, and I didn't have like enough time to deal with it. So this is Zan. Zan's playing the exact same 60. No changes from the previous list. Over the weekend, he did play Queens in his deck. The 3-cost 3/3 that exerts and then finds an item, puts it into play 3 or less, or puts it in your hand. But aside, he's not playing that in round 2 of this. Maybe he played this weekend. Maybe he didn't like it. Who knows? Maybe he just thinks that if people think he's playing the Queens, he won't play the Queens. Who knows, right? Who knows? But Zan sticking to his guns, thinks this deck's good, thinks Oswald's good. I believe he's the only one on Oswald in round 2. So we'll see how it works out. And then Specky made he took his super crazy budget deck and added Docs to it because like Doc's really good, guys. But aside from that, I don't know what the other changes were. I just know that in week 1 he was not playing Docs. I'm not sure he was okay. I think what happened was he registered the wrong deck and it did not have Maleficence, but now this one does. So I think he like accidentally registered his $46 budget deck and then decided to play Maleficence and Docs, but forgot to do it. But now we have them. So, you know, Docs just being $8-9 is like half the deck of what it cost before. But aside from that, I think it's interesting note for Amethyst Steel in this particular metagame. I think that this is a route that you very much have to make a choice on how you're going to play Amethyst Steel in general. And to me, you really only have 2 choices, and that's super hyper aggro, which is basically what this is doing. I'm not sure if he had Fire the Cannons in round 1 either, but you know, this is 16 1-drops plus the 2 Fire the Cannons, so 18. I could argue that this could be 20 or 22 1-drops if I'm being honest. Like we could probably cut down on some Cobras and just play more 1-drops, and it might make this deck just a tad bit more aggressive to get underneath the Sapphire stuff. But aside from that, I think that this is like one way you can certainly do this. I'm not a fan of Chromacon in general. I think Library is strictly better. But aside from that, this makes a lot of sense. Also note that this is only Fire the Cannons. No Strength of Raging Fire, 61 drops. Can we even do that, Bivens? Is that possible? Is it possible, Bivens? It might be possible. There's enough goons and Olafs in the world, right? But yeah, so I think this is pretty good. Let me quickly look at the matchups. I know one that I'm particularly excited for, but I don't think that they're all right. So it's Specky's playing Kurt. So this is a much more difficult matchup this round because Specky's going to end up playing Emerald Steel this round. So where I felt like he was pretty favored against Sailor in round 1. I don't think this deck is particularly favored into the Emerald Seal, but hey, you know, we got Fire the Cannons. As long as we kill the Diablo, we might be good. Might be good. So there are 3 different Sapphire Seal aggro decks, and they all have different cards, you know? Lorcana Decklist is the only one featuring Baymax, I believe. There are a couple that picked up on the one of Mickey. I believe it's Lorcana Decklist and Artifacts that are each playing the one Sorcerer Floodborn Mickey now. Sorry, taking a drink there. And for those of you that like might not remember what this card does, it is the 5-cost inkable 3/4 2 lore shift 3 resist 1, and then the ability sweep away. When you play this character, deal damage to chosen character equal to number of brooms. So notable here that there are 0 brooms in this list aside from. Oh no, we don't even have the 1-cost broom. So this list does not have any brooms. This is kind of what I was talking about, and I'll bring myself, right? Because I think this is kind of important, is that 4 willpower and resist 1 is like a wombo combo. I think 4 willpower is very key in the metagame, and I think the resist 1 is also very key. I think it's attacking pretty much all of the steel metagame really on good curves. I think Artabax is playing the brooms, so he has a little bit more leeway to kind of utilize this. But you know, Sticky Mickey is sticky, guys. He doesn't go away, and you can very easily put this card into play on turn 3. So having a 2 questing 4 willpower resist 1 character on turn 3, I think it's pretty good. I'm not shocked at all about this inclusion here. It can sing, whatever you want to. So you can sing on the play. You can play your character and sing, which is notable since we can't always do that. So like there might be a world where you go Mickey, Smee, Mickey, and then you can sing a strength or sing let the Storm Rage on and kind of like complete the move game for it. I will say I don't know that I would go any further. Like I don't know if like because I play Mickey Mouse I would up my song count or like play Zeus's, if that makes sense, just to get more effect out of this. You might just clutter the deck a little bit, but it's interesting to note that this is where these players are getting to, because I really do think that right now a very key point in the metagame is 4 willpower or resist 1, which is why I think when we get to Zach's list, we're going to talk about how much is going on with this list of why I think it's very well positioned in general. But yeah, it's really cool to see the Mickey inclusion. Anything else? I'm not sure if there was anything else that really popped out, but I know he's the only one playing Baymax, I believe, of the Amber Steel aggro decks. I think he's also the one playing Ana. So Ana is the hero, right? So the 2-cost 1/4 1 lore, and if you have another hero in play, she gains +4. Again, 4 willpower. I think it's key. I really think that this is what players are picking up on. There's a lot of like success leaves clues about some deck building decisions right now. And 4 willpower is really sticking out. It's something that you guys should be considering in your deck construction going into the next few weeks. And these players, like some of the best players in the world, showcasing like the deck, like as they're moving through these weeks and updating these decks, you're seeing from week 1 to week 2 these changes of picking up more 4 willpower characters, picking up another resist 1 character. I think it's very, very key for like mirrors and stuff like that. 4 is definitely greater than 3. Thank you, Mr. Bivens. So Federico is another one. Nothing changed about this list. This is still the exact same. And I believe he 2-0'd Mo in round 1, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so likes what he's doing, likes the list, made no changes. Him and DKP, I think, are like kind of close to the same thing going on, but there are some critical differences. I think TKP is only on one of these still, but we'll take a look. But yeah, for Federico, no changes. Sticking to my guns. All right, so Domingo had a large change, right? So I remember sitting here last week going like, what in God's green earth is going on? Why are we trying to mill our opponent? Domingo decided that was not the way he wanted to go, and we moved on to a burn deck. which is what I believe he called this burn in the Google Doc maybe. And I don't know when Domingo is playing, but listen, guys, there's Forbidden Mountains in this deck. I got to be on the commentary team for that, right? Like, I got to be the one that gets excited when a Forbidden Mountain gets played because no one's played this. No one's registered this in a real deck ever. So the idea that Domingo here is registering 3 copies of Forbidden Mountain does have me a little pumped. I might be rooting for him this round just because of it. But yeah, so Fairy Ship's another one. Last night, for anyone that tuned into the stream, Orion was playing our updated Amethyst Seal list that now includes Fairy Ship. And I think, again, it's just that 4 willpower. It's a little bit more of the success leave clues. You know, when you get to watch some of these great players, you know, you saw Bivens. We've seen Wochuk now on the ICL this week. Neverland has been looking really good, guys, in Amber decks. Fairy Ship is a purple Neverland. In case you didn't know, it's the same exact thing. And it is pretty good. It looks pretty successful. So I think it's notable that, you know, some of these cards are coming out and showcasing that. Obviously, this is a very full-on changeover from the mill deck. But we'll see how Domingo does with the updated version. I think the idea here that we are like 51 purple cards and 9 ruby, you know, like all we have is the Maui, the Brawl, and just 3 B preps, like just in case we need it. Just in case we need it. The TFM, the TFM foil collection about to go through the roof. I do have, I don't know, 25 to 30 signed Forbidden Mountains from either TFM members or I have the entire Disney Lorcana design team that signed Forbidden Mountains, foil Forbidden Mountains for me. So pretty awesome, pretty exciting. Not to get too off topic, but I think it's kind of cool. I'll put this away for a second and we'll go back. We're in the process of potentially, hopefully, buying a house. And in the new space that we are purchasing, I will actually finally have a studio. And if I get the studio and we get the house, I really plan to do it up, guys. And I'm going to put that beautiful foil collection of Forbidden Mountains behind me for sure. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited though. All right, what's next? Let's go back. Will Ruby Amethyst be good? I have no idea. So Theo time. So Theo here, we are no Oswald. We have Smeeze and Last Cannons. I think those are like the 2 critical differences from the other list is my guess. So we have, okay, that's the big thing, right? We have 12 1-drops. We are not missing our bells, guys, on turn 1. I think that most people have 10. So Fortisphere, Popsicle, and then 1 shield or 2 shields max. I believe that Zan was only on 9 week 1 and he did not make any changes, but I do think he went up to 2 of these in his deck this weekend from the Hunter Burton Memorial event, along with Aaron. But yeah, this list playing 12, interesting. Last Cannons is interesting. Lowering the uninkable count. Oh, also finding a way for 2 McDuck's Manners. I think that's pretty interesting too. But lowering the uninkable count in general to play Mr. Smeeze is nice. You know, maybe it's just a comfort thing. And I totally get that Oswald's not for everybody. I think there has to be a really, like, if you haven't listened, you know, if you haven't gone out of your way and you haven't listened to the Club Lorcana podcast and you really want to hear like what they believe Oswald is doing, I think Zan says it best. And it's the idea that like, no 2-drop in the game is winning you the game on turn 2, but Oswald can. You know, like Calhoun is great, Smee is great, Chicha is fine, but none of those cards are winning you the game literally just because you inked a card. And I think that that's like the key takeaway for this list and the general concept of it, and is that the idea that all you have to do is ink for turn and you might just get infinite value is irreplaceable in the overall construction of this deck. And I think that's what people are playing to a comfort which I respect, right? Like understanding like, oh, I don't want the uninkables in my deck. I'd rather just have Smees. I'd rather just have Calhouns. I'd rather, play Chicha. I personally think Chicha is the worst option. I don't think that card's very good. But I understand why we're making those choices and how the deck can kind of set up and make it look like those are possible options. But in the end, Oswald literally can ink and put a diamond to play for free. It can ink and put a Maurice's Workshop into play for free. It can ink and put a Fishbone Quill into play for free. And the amount gained from that is just toppling on top of the other free things that we're already doing in the deck. There were games last night that we had on the stream where I was kind of counting them out. I think there was one in particular that it was turn 4. And on turn 4, Vince drew 2 cards, put 2 items into play, and played 7 ink worth of stuff for free and still had 2 ink left over. Like he still could have done something else. And then there was another turn where in the turn he had drawn 5 cards. He had played 18 ink worth of cards for free and like established an insane board and won the next turn. That's what this deck is all about. A lot of these decks that we're talking about, they just do, they literally ink, play a character, and say pass. On their best turns, they ink, they sing a song, play a character, and say pass. This deck might ink, get something for free, play another thing for free, get stuff out of our discard, play higher set of cards for free, and then sing good songs for free. Like the amount of just snowballing effect that you get from it is just unbelievable. Like Zach Bivens here, broken list, so much power, much wow. But the other thing here is like, it does have some memory of Steel Songs, and we'll get to that when we get to Bivens' list here. But I just want to say, like, I think it's interesting of all the choices here that you're seeing 3 different versions of the list for each one. So it's also very helpful as a viewer, as a player. Like you can go in the YouTube, I believe I put this description link. I'll put this in there in a second, just for you guys. But remember how last week I was saying I think there's a whole hub for this? Well, there is, which is cool. So this is all the decks that's being registered every round. But the other thing is this streams and videos tab on here. So this actually goes and you can see where all this content is, which is awesome. And I think as they're getting scheduled, this gets updated. So like this is today. So today this is already scheduled and we're going to see it and it's going to be streamed. So I think that this is a really cool resource for this because obviously there's a bunch of different content creators that are covering these. Hopefully I won't be sick this round, so I'll actually get on the channel. That's why we weren't streaming last Friday, guys. If you didn't hear the news, I woke up with 0 voice and then slept pretty much the whole day. But it's this really cool tab for here. So you can kind of go and like watch all these matches. And what I said last week, I'll kind of like double down on it. The idea that you just get these players playing against one another for free. Take the opportunity to go watch these players. I said a lot about the Zivins versus the Bivens versus Zan match that took place at SSG last month, that it was just like a lesson being learned while watching. Well, we get to see that in round 2, which is kind of cool. But this is that all over the place, and there's a whole hub for it to tell you where you can go watch these games, and I think that's awesome. All right, so where are we at? We at DKP? Yeah. All right, so DKP. We got I'm gonna go look at my cheat code real quick because I have a cheat code. Someone was tracking this better than I was. Where are you, Melissa? Dun, 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 dun. All right. So DKP was -2 Grama Tala, +2 Tamatoa, -1 Goofy, +1 Hiram. So there we go. Thank you, Melissa, for doing the job for me. So Goofy in, Hiram up, Tala gone, Tamatoa too strong. And I think that the attribute to this is that all this deck wants to do is ink on turn 2, is ramp on turn 2 and ramp on turn 3. And it is comfortable playing the game after that. Like putting a turn 4 shark into play is exactly what DKP wants to do on average. And this is what's enabling him to do in that. And when he can't do those things, he has all the defensive options to kind of compete. And now we have 3 of these Tamatoas that just read recycle my popsicles for all of eternity. It is very the information that I like kind of put out there last week was, is DKP comfortable playing this list with just a random crab to occasionally get back 2 popsicles? And the answer to that question is clearly yes, because we went from 1 Tamatoa to 3 Tamatoas. So that's very notable of how powerful that card is at even the very minimum, simply getting back popsicles. So yeah, very easy, like very, very notable thing there. Aside from that, this is the list DKP has been rocking for months. It's great. It's powerful. It's strong. I am curious how this is going to continue to do into the field. You know, its item matchup doesn't seem insanely good, but it seems close enough. I also think that, you know, DK he's a type of player that's going to be able to react well and kind of move forward and learn how to play that matchup a little bit better potentially. So we'll see. All in all, nice to see the list still staying strong, still putting the work into it. Artifacts. All right, so Artifacts is my friend that's playing with brooms. I love this broom, by the way. The 2 costs 2/3, 1 lore, and he has evasive on your turn. Love it. But we're sporting the Mickey Mouse now, you know? So Magic Brooms, Mickey Mouse. Maybe we get the random ping. Could be relevant. Hard to say. Chen Po in here. I'm not sure if this was here last week. I can't remember. But, you know, still pretty much the same thing he was doing last week. Just a couple changes of Magic Broom and Mickey. You know, very similar to what Lorcan Dex is doing, where he had the Mickey and then Anna's. I think everything else is like pretty close to clean. And it's just another way of like showcasing like, hey, there's different options for this list. Kind of pick and play to your favorite, you know? I have some weird stuff playing in my headphones right now because my daughter also uses our YouTube. And I just haven't had some like Japanese pop song going on in my head. I had to turn it off. I couldn't do it. All right, moving on to Moyen. So Moyen also on items. We have Tipo Sail, Last Cannons, no shield. And that's pretty much it, right? Like Cogsworth is the other key factor here. So again, differences are pretty notable. One deck is playing Smee. One deck is playing Azurite Sea. Only one of them is playing Cogsworth. Like, there's clearly lots of different choices that are going around here while people are trying to figure out the best version of items. Very interesting. And then, all right. So Mo, I think, did make some changes. I'm going to bring this up real quick on my end because I wanted to see this deck again. I want to make sure I'm looking at the differences correctly here. All right. So, yeah. So last week, Mo did not have Under the Seas or Bend to My Wills. And now we're sporting two Under the Sea and a Bend to My Will. We also didn't have Heffalumps. Now we do. So this list like took a pretty big difference. And I do think it is a bit better position now. Like I think I think that this deck sees enough cards that it enables you to be creative, and it's potentially able to get away with playing this many uninkables that are high cost that all in a way win the game. Tipo is our friend in a big way. It's also very interesting to note that, you know, if I Tipo an Under the Sea or I Tipo a Bend to My Will, it's not the end of the world because I can Ink Geyser and I can get it back. So it's not like we have to hold these cards in our hand either, because we can utilize the variance of Ink Geyser to potentially draw it later. which is definitely a way that I don't think people have approached Ink Geyser. You know, the version that I was playing week 1 was featured around All Is Found, and it was just the ability to continuously play songs because of Ink Geyser and All Is Found, because basically you can like play How Far It Goes and play one jump aheads, and they go into your discard pile, and then you're able to ink them because of All Is Found. And then when you play Ink Geyser, you can get them all back. Like it's a random thing that you get back. And then you've established this board of singers. You know, like you have in this particular list, you know, we have Clarabelle, that's our key big singer. But even the muses can sing. Hiram can sing when necessary. So the idea that you could establish a board of a few characters that can sing cards like How Far It Go and cards like All Is Found is that by recycling them, you can pick them back up, you can recycle them again, utilize Sapphire Coil to the fullest, and then like put them back into the discard pile after you Ink Geyser again. And then you can kind of just keep repeating it, because as long as you have like 2 All Is Founds and 2 Ink Geysers, there's potential where you're always actually picking those cards back up when you play the next Ink Geyser. So it's like this never-ending lock that you can kind of present for a deck, which I think is very cool and very interesting. I haven't found it to be as consistent as I'd want it to be. So that's kind of like one of the factors here. But I do like I like a bunch the direction that Mo moved here. So I'm very much excited for seeing Mo's next round and seeing how he kind of keeps developing this game. I think that, you know, he's the only Ink Geyser deck that's in the event. He's the only Emerald Sapphire deck that's in the event. So I think he has a pretty large fan base rooting for this deck to find success. So I think it's cool that he kind of like stuck to his guns and is going to keep giving it his best shot, right? We'd like to see creativity every now and then. All right, so our good old friend Kurt here, he did make some changes. Let me take a look. So Kurt, what did Kurt do? Kurt went up on Pete. We got rid of Lucifer. Oh boy, hold on. I gotta take my listen. Okay, so Lucifer was a card I've been hating on for weeks. All right, hating on it for weeks. And someone left a comment on YouTube like, "Oh, you're crazy. You Lucifer's so good." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Thank you, Kurt. So yeah, so we pick up some Pete's. We pick up a Pete. We pick up Cricky's. I love Cricky. Cricky's phenomenal. We picked up a 4th. We don't talk about Bruno. We did this by dropping I'll Find on my Platinum. Clearly that card didn't work out. And we did drop Lucifer, of course. I think that's it. I think everything else is the same. So we dropped Lucifer, dropped I'll Find on my Platinum. We picked up a 4th Pete, 2 Crickies, and the 4th, we don't talk about Bruno. So that's the changes there for Kurt. I think they're all positive, you know? I think they're all quite positive changes for Kurt here. He played in the Inking Invitational this weekend. He was on stream for the 1 round, and he just got by Sapphire Steel aggro. And I think that a card like Cricky is very good into that. I think I also watched an Emerald Steel deck just get completely dominated by 1 Calhoun and 2 Troubadours, because like Diablo has 1 strength, Doc has 1 strength, Ursula has 1 strength, Prince John has 1 strength, and like this Diablo only has 2. And like literally a Troubadour on the board meant he could basically do 0 damage to Troubadour. So this deck definitely needed some life without just Cove. So I think Cricky is a phenomenal addition to that. Pete Space Pirate has been great for everyone. I think like this is the reason why I think continuing with this build does make sense. And I think there's just a lot of questions going around of like, is this going to be the deck for some of these players, you know? I'm late. What did I miss? You missed everything. Actually, guys, Jorge, he's here now, so I'm just going to call it quits. We don't need to see the rest of the deck list, right? Good morning, Jorge. Any Sabrina Carpenter fans out there? It's okay. You don't have to lie. You can tell me if you're a Sabrina Carpenter fan. I'm a Sabrina Carpenter fan. Okay. Espresso is a bop. It's a bop. It's okay. Just let me know. Let me know. Don't leave me hanging, guys. I know someone here is a Sabrina Carpenter fan. See? I like it. I like it. I like it. She's catchy. All right. Thank you guys for entertaining me there for a second. All right. So, like Kirk changes. Oh, here it is. The man, the myth, the legend. All right, guys. Bibbins is smart. Okay. Let me go. Let me find last week's. I know the new cards for sure, but I'm not necessarily sure what the cut cards were without really looking. So we are still a Bianca enthusiast, which I can appreciate. We are still a Troubadour enthusiast, right? We like this line. Big factor here. Ursula's in. Ursula not here last week, but again, 4 willpower, real good, guys. 4 willpower is real strong. How did we get there? We dropped a Gaston for her. So we went down to Gaston, played an Ursula. We also dropped a Lawrence. What did we pick up for our Lawrence here? A Cinderella, I believe. So we dropped a Lawrence and picked up a Cinderella Stouthearted. We also went to 4 Along Came Zeus. How did we get to 4 Along Came Zeus? Still have Nala Goat. I'm not positive how we got to 4 Along Came Zeus. I don't know. If Bibbins is hanging out, maybe he'll tell us. Well, I have. Bibbins, how did we get to 4 Zeus? What am I missing? 3 storms? Oh, okay, 3 storms. Okay. I see you. No, I think 3 storms is fine. I think I listen, there's a lot of right? Listen. All right, guys. Again, Bibbins is smart. There's a lot of Sticky Mickeys hanging out right now. Okay? We can't storm Sticky Mickey. It doesn't work. You also can't storm Bell. It doesn't work. But nonetheless. Also found some room for I'll Find My Platinum. For Neverland. 4 willpower, guys. I love the Cinderella edition here. I think this was not the first Cinderella I had seen this week. I've seen a couple other players slot some Cinderella into their list, and I think it's correct. I think it's good. 3 Storm was a choice made based on other 7 round 1 winners. Oh, look at you. Told you guys. Told you. He's smart. Watch out for him. Yeah, we just got to storm it twice, guys. That's it. Just draw them all. Yeah, I have been pleasantly surprised watching this list recently. I think that, you know what? Richie, I believe, was playing the Cinderella in his winning list this past weekend, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think this is nice. I think Ursula is definitely the right call. Just in general, going second sucks, and having the 5th Singer 4 on turn 2, I think is a big deal. So I really like her a bunch. 4 willpower is king. 3 resist 1. 3 willpower king. 4 Lawrence. 4 willpower king. There's just a lot going on here. I'll be curious if the numbers with Gaston and Ariel go any different moving forward, or if like maybe there's room for another Bianca, just to kind of set some things up. I think that everything here makes a lot of sense, though. The 3 greatest Chrono Mines, is that also like, man, I can't die to Tamatoa, which I can respect in a big way. Because I feel like 3 World Chrono Mine, now granted, it's inkable. We can just ink it. Who cares? But 3 feels like a lot. It's a lot. Um, 3, 4, 8. 4, 8, 12, 16, 19 songs. I like it. I had a question the other day from Jorge. How many songs should be in a songs deck? And I was like, generally speaking, 16 to 20. Get him. Anti-crab. This one was not named Nala as goat, by the way. Is she no longer the goat? I can understand why. And then, all right, so the rat was our big change. Brian played the items deck in week 1. We got away from it. No longer. What's the purpose of the location? Oh, I love this. Is a good question, guys. Welcome to the stream. So the purpose of this location, and if you haven't yet, in all honesty, I recommend checking out some of the streams recently, because Neverland has been on stream quite a bit. And really what it's doing is that it's 4 willpower, and a lot of the metagame right now is based on 3 strength. So players have a very hard time committing multiple challenges to removing what seems to be a low threatening location. And it's actually very hard to argue that it's incorrect to even do that. But that is, I think, the kind of like the factor of why it's playable and why it's good, and why other decks should be considering playing cards like it. Like how we saw Fairy Ship show up in the Ruby Amethyst deck from earlier. But this one resource, like 1 ink to put 4 willpower in play. I've talked about this several times in the past, but like that ink to willpower ratio is massive. And it's very difficult to kind of like combat with that when it's also inkable. For us in Amber decks, we have Daisy, which is the 1/4. We have Nala, which is an 0/4, which is kind of the same, but Nala can obviously be Rapunzeled. But, putting this into play, and that basically at all times in the game, everything else that's in play is more of a threat than itself. So because of how low impact it is to the board, is how like unthreatening it really is. And it really just secures a deck like Sapphire Steel, or I'm sorry, like Amethyst Steel, the ability, or sorry, Amber Steel, the ability to still use its characters to sing, remove the threats, and then still pick up lore. Earlier in the week, I kind of compared it like adding a cost onto your singer. So like if Troubadour is a 2-cost 1/3 with 0 lore, because we're only ever using it to sing, I'm going to pay 1 more, add 4 willpower onto my Troubadour in theory, and now every turn I'm going to gain a lore, because Troubadour is able to actively exert, remove a character from play, and then I'm still gaining a lore because of the location. And because there's just not enough characters right now in the metagame that are focused around 4 strength, these cards are just sticking in play. They're gaining 3, 4, 5 lore, and sometimes like they're just there literally from the moment you play them until the end of the game. So that's what they're really doing right now. They're actually very, very well positioned, I think, for the first time in a while within the metagame. And it's a big thing for like success leaves clues, which is something I love saying. The idea that Neverland has been so impactful for these Amber Steel decks leads me to believe that Fairy Ship can be just as successful in Amethyst Steel decks. So it's why last night on the stream we had last night on Twitch, because it was all messed up and I couldn't get it on YouTube. I don't want to talk about it. I hate OBS, guys. We displayed a version of Amethyst Steel that was utilizing Fairy Ship, and it was very good. And it's definitely a card that I would consider playing this weekend if I was on Amethyst Steel this weekend. So lots of good things. But let's get back to Brian here. So Brian was playing items in round 1, and he has moved on from items to go to the more aggressive route. And his list is also quite different. We have no Sticky Mickeys, but we go to Mulan. We also pick up an Ana here, right? So we are kind of on that hero train, hero variants. And then we went to the extent of playing Gontu again, which is big. And my boy Scrooge McDuck. I love me some Scrooge McDuck, guys. Innocent 4-cost, uninkable 5/5 with 2 lore. It's just stats. And it is interesting that, this deck doesn't play Tipo, doesn't play Sail. I think that Scrooge is an incredibly powerful card on the play on turn 3. If we Tipo into Scrooge, So, while I respect the Ana, of course, the 1/4 Ana is so good. And this deck doesn't necessarily have the ability to kind of keep them on card advantage to utilize a card like Tipo. I wouldn't hate seeing some number of Sail in here just to keep the option awake. Hiram as a 2 of, notable. But yeah, so this list is definitely looking to be more centered around the Alice for sure. Having Alice and Gantu combo is really powerful. Even Alice and McDuck is, pretty great, but there is like, some uninkable cost here. But in general, I think this deck is great. And it's really cool to see, again, 3 different versions of it. So between the 3 different versions, you see the Annas, you see the Brooms, you see the Mickeys. The other 2 have sticky Mickeys, but this one has Milan. And that also might be attributing to the Ana a little bit here because Milan's also a hero. So just a lot of cool synergies going on. Really showcasing the flexibility in these versions of this deck for sure. And Diego. All right, so Diego, I know he made changes, but I'm not certain what they are. So we're going to go and take a look at that real quick. Let's see. What are our changes for Diego? Okay, so Lady is a new addition. All right, so the core changes here are in round 1, we had the Clarabelle package, and in round 2, we no longer have the Clarabelle package. So we just straight up took out 4 Clumsies and 3 Hooves, and now we're playing this three ladies, and trying to figure out what else is new here. There was also Crickies in the list before that are no. Oh, Crickies hanging out down here. Pegasus line was there. There was also Cloud Kickers that were no longer representing. So, pretty good amount of changes here. 2, 3. Yeah. Prince. Piglet. Go-Go. Nala is the new addition as well. So, yeah. So, Lady and Nala, both new from last week. And everything else looks pretty close to the same. The numbers might be flipped up a little bit. Last round had a lot more cards in it. I'm actually wondering if it was just well over 60 cards because it doesn't look like this. Oh, Prince is the new addition. So we took out kits. We got Prince's. Prince Philip, sorry, not the Prince. That was always there, but now Prince Philip is added as well. I think this is a deck that is very much a work in progress, This is, again, if you go on Inkdex and you search these Emerald decks, there's like a pretty good amount of them that's been successful, but there's just all over the place. I think the versions are like have a lot of choices. A lot of people are still trying to figure out. I think that there is clearly something there for Lady and the Tramp. I think the Tramp is very, very good. Everyone was very excited about Lady, and I don't think enough people were excited about the Tramp. This card really has turned out to be very good. 7 cost Inkle, 2/6, 2 lore with this 2 abilities of now it's a party. For each character you have in play, you pay 1 less to play this character. And then Howl's Pickings. When you play this character, you may draw a card for each other character you have in play and choose to discard that many cards. I really think that this card got lost in reveals. And, I remember when Lady came out, everyone's like, oh my God, Lady's insane. This card's nuts. This card's ridiculous. And I think Tramp is much better. So very interesting. I do think this is a card that if it says it's only 32 cents, if you guys don't own this card, I'd buy it now. I think there's enough people committed to making this deck good. So yeah, I think this card is worth a lot more than 30 cents probably. So I don't want people to lose out on the world where all of a sudden they want to play Lady in the Tramp deck and the Tramp rare is $5 instead of 30 cents. So if you don't have them yet, I do recommend go buy. But yeah, this deck is really cool. I have yet to play it myself. I've only watched it. And, I called it like the Thinking Man's Aggro deck because there's so many interesting choices. Oh, there's no Merryweather in this list. Interesting. But yeah, like because of Tramp, because of Merryweather, setting up the Chernobog if possible, when is correct to play Ursula. Like there's just a lot of choices that go into protecting your characters and getting the most out of them. Getting that Rapunzel value, etc. That I just think that this is not like a very straightforward deck to play, which is for me, I don't like I'm not a fan of just straightforward like burn aggro decks. Like they just kind of bore me. So this deck does intrigue me because I feel like there is a lot of thought going into these turns. And I think that you get rewarded for good gameplay. And those are definitely the type of decks that I enjoy quite a bit. All right. So I think there's one. Oh, no, man. There's a few more. So Sailor's List is one of the Ruby-Sapphire decks. And I'll be honest, guys. Of all of them, I think this is my favorite. Shout out to Sailor because I really think that I think this deck does everything that I want it to do. And there's a lot of these decks, right? There's a lot of these Ruby-Sapphire decks that are trying to figure out what is the best use of my time. And, we don't have the McDuck Manners here. So if we're not playing 4 McDuck Manners or any number of McDuck Manners, it does open us up to make 2 things better. It makes our Sharks better, and it makes our Tamatoas better. Now we have room for Vital Spear. We have the Sapphire Coils, obviously, to make cards like Sisu, like Medusa, like Human Sisu all better. So like that's doing all the right things. And then we still have our 4 crabs that, all these cards are great. Still playing 3 Pirate's Life, great. Going down to how far it goes, notable. Like there's definitely worlds where this deck just plays Sapphire Coil on 2 and does not ink on turn 2. So therefore, we play slower games, which means we don't need 4 how far ago. Like our generic plan is not turn 4 Maui Shark. It might just be a slower game. So if we have a slower game, that's cool too. We can just we can play to that. 2 Hideaway, I think, is just a testament to the metagame right now, but it is notable. But yeah, I think that of the 4 decks, for Ruby-Sapphire, this is my favorite. I think this is the very, very well designed by Sailor here. We'll have to see how he does. Has to have a bounce back round. It got kind of beat up on by aggro. A little bit of budget aggro kind of got on him, but I think that's going to happen from that time every now and then, right? So we'll see. We'll see how he bounces back. All right, then we have the wonderful Ed. So Ed and Sailor are pretty close, but Ed is 4 Vitalispear. Ed also has Maleficence and Tamatoas, like all going all the way up, going real big. And Ed is just the epitome of 15 card 4-ofs. Who needs it, right? And I think this is very, very common for Ed decks in general. It doesn't shock me too much. I will say Ed is a big Medusa fan. So I'm shocked that we didn't find room for Medusa in any which way. Ed, for those obviously we all know Ed by now, DLC winner, NACC winner, but he also won, either won or was the runner-up. I can't remember, one of the Charlie's Collectible shows, and he was the first one to say, I'm going to play 4 Lady Tremaine and 4 Madame Medusas, so he very much loves his ladies and chairs. So I'm curious why this version of this deck couldn't find room for them. But hey, maybe Maleficent's just good enough, There's enough ramp, right? We have 12 ramps. I made fun of some of the Maleficents in some of the other decks that I was seeing because I just didn't feel like their deck was even going to get there. We're going to get to 9 pretty easily, pretty consistently. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I think Ed's is just the more consistent route. Tamatoa just very difficult to deal with in general in the game, and understanding that's a pretty big deal. So can't hate on it. And yeah, Maleficent, best way to answer Tamatoa, guys. Maleficent, duh. Just pay 9 and get rid of it. Dragonfire it off the board. Is that all of them? It is. All right. So again, this is our breakdown for it. Let me see if there's an official bracket yet. I don't think so. I think it's just this cute little. Let me see if the challenge page was updated. I gotta go find it. Here it is. All right, so it was. So I'll put this on screen for a second for you guys. We'll take a look at this. Oh, we can make our predictions too. We can do that. That's fun. All right. So, boom, bring it back. So, Legendary Cross Continental Clash Round 2. As you can see, we have Bivens versus Kurt. Wait, is that what actually happened? This might be wrong. Is this wrong? Or did I read it wrong earlier? Because I thought I saw... Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing Zan versus Zach, but maybe I just looked at that wrong. Interesting. Maybe they haven't updated it. Can you post the link for this, please? Yes. Yes, I can. It is wrong. All right, so it's wrong. All right, Zach knows. Yeah, I say. So this is not correct, sadly, because I think Zach is playing Zan, and Kurt is playing Spessy. This is like super tiny, but I'll try and bring it up for you guys. We'll see how this goes. Hold on. All right, let's go back to me for a second. And then let's remove this. Present. Image file. Okay. It's so funny. Let's see. Oh. There it is. These are the matchups. So you have Moyne versus Arcana Decklist, Federingo versus Artifacts, Zach versus Zan, Kurt versus Spessy, Sailor versus Domingo, Mo versus Theo, Diego versus Ed, and the Rat versus DKP. So, sadly, the website is not correct, which is a bummer. It's a bummer. But, you know, mostly because I wanted to... Matches are open for voting, and we can't. There's no reason to vote for these. Guys, there is a lot of ads on this page. Holy but Jesus. I apologize. Let's see. Maybe I made that better now. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I guess we can take a chance here. What match are we most excited to see? Personally, I think Zan versus Zach is the one I want to see. I have not seen... I don't think I've seen it on camera, at least. The Amber Steel songs versus the items. So, arguably two of the best players at the craft playing their respective decks. That's great content, guys. I don't think they have announced the one for the schedule for that yet. But when they do, I will be hopeful to sign up for commentary for that one. I would be a privilege to commentate on that again. But yeah, I think that's great. I think Domingo versus Sailor is nice. I think that's an interesting matchup for Sailor. Like Domingo going those burn, playing a little bit more of the locations. You know, like hey, you know what Sapphire Coil doesn't minus? The willpower on locations, guys. Diego and Ed might also be an interesting matchup. Like Diego's still working on the Lady and the Tramp stuff, so that's cool to see. DKP's list into the Artifacts list. Curious in how that's going. So like the Rat versus DKP might be another really... I think this is all great. I think there's some good matchups here. Same thing for Federingo and Artifacts. Like that's kind of the same thing. And then they're kind of Decklist versus Moyen. You know, that's aggro versus items. So it looks like we avoided any mirrors in round 2. Lots of good content. Lots of good content. I think that today is the first one already, if I remember correctly. I think it's at 2 p.m. DKP. So I think it's DKP and the Rat at 2 p.m. today. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, 2 p.m. Do I know where yet? I do not know where yet. It will not be here. I'll be picking up my kids. But yeah, so that is the first one. And then there's a bunch of games on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, I think there's like 3, maybe even 4 games now. So that'll be a busy day. A lot of them are at night too. I can't remember exactly, but I think I'm going to try and cast them, because what I'll do is I'll probably cast the match and then just go right into the Into the Unknown podcast with Dick or whoever shows up this week. I'm not sure who we're having this week on the show. But yeah, I don't know. Should be fun. Should be interesting. We have a lot more people in here now, so I want to bring this topic back up as we kind of circle through the finale here. Very excited for the round 2. Hopeful to get a couple streams in there for it. Again, I got sick at the wrong time, guys. I was so excited to watch Geyser. I had to get sick for my birthday. Missed the stream. Won't let it happen again. But yeah, to start the show, we had a nice little topic about, can you still get product in your LGS? How's it going? How was your initial product release for your LGS? These are the things that I want to know. I want to know. Right, it's for Jorge. How's it going, Jorge? So if you're a late comer to the stream and you haven't let me know yet, hit me up. I think it's a really interesting conversation. We had we talked for about 20, 25 minutes already about it. So I don't want to harp on it too long, but it is something that it's interesting, right? Low, but still have some. They said sales this set were a bit better. That's good. That's good. It's good to hear. I'm almost out of coffee, guys. Almost out of coffee. Where am I getting yelled at today? Well, my LGS sold out. They expect more this week. Okay, so they expect more this week. That's good to know. I did send out some messages before stream. I did not get responses though. So I actually reached out to a couple of my LGSs to see what's going on with their product. I'm good. Only 2 of my local stores had product on opening day. That's about out of 5 stores. Okay, that sucks. Sold out due to getting God boxes. So your store was the lucky winner? That's cool. Good for your store. For me, I said I think mostly everything around us is either, for the most part, sold out, or I could argue too expensive. I think that right now the expected value of the pack is about 115. So like 115 a box, you would feel pretty good about it. Anything over that is like, you should just buy singles most likely, unless you just really like opening packs. I don't like opening packs. Not a fan. So if I could get boxes, for 105, 110, I'd probably buy them. But I don't think that I would be playing 125, 130. That's too much. Too hard to make your money back. You're kind of like way too reliant on opening up bombs and things like that. You're too on the must open Tamatoa, must open Scrooge, must open Enchanted line, where as a seller, you don't want to be living in that world if you can avoid it. Our LGS sells out a product almost immediately. Very hard for a family of 4 to get cards, and we need when set is released, especially when the card needs $70. Well, listen, someone in the house just can't play Tamatoa. But yeah, I feel you. I do feel you. My LGS ran out of packs and doesn't have any singles online, unfortunately. They sold singles all for previous sets. So I'm hoping that changes. Yeah, this also means that your LGS like had to put, product aside for themselves. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were just happy selling all of their product. That's why, shout out to the Encounter. For us, easily the best store in the area. It's not close. They had like 100 boxes opening weekend for themselves. I think they cracked 20, 25, 30 of them maybe for singles. And then they sold the rest at either 110 a box or 400 for a case. Phenomenal. Sold out. All gone. By Saturday afternoon. So product came in sometime Thursday afternoon, gone by Saturday afternoon or Saturday night. Pretty insane. But like I reached out to them this morning. I said, hey, like, can you get more? Like, is there more coming? Like there's tournaments going on, right? Gotta drop. Adios. Thanks for hanging out, bro. Have a good day. I think it's important because like we have tournaments to play, guys. and I do assume that like if there is some event coming up that knew they had a scheduled event, they probably kept product aside for that. But like, what about past that? I live in a country, so I pre-ordered boxes online. They just got their tracking numbers today. So they're, I believe, depending on where you live and where you order from, I know TCG Player, as an example, they could pre-sell their cases, but they could not ship until the release of Big Box either. So most people will likely not get their cards until the 21st. So I wonder if it's something similar. What tournaments? RB hasn't announced anything. Okay. Guys, we are busy the next couple weekends. Charlie's Collectible this weekend, 10K. Saturday, last time I checked, there were over 226 players. So they're sailing to the moon. Check out Lore 20 Pro this weekend. They're going to be streaming it. Next weekend, World Class Cards in Wisconsin. 2 separate 5Ks. 5K on Saturday, 5K on Sunday. The weekend after that, SCG Miami. 15 cases. Also a donation tournament. So charity tournament. Very important. When I get more details about that, I'm going to bug somebody from SSG. If anyone's watching from SSG or is watching later, ping me because I got to get you on the show so we can talk about the charity stuff. So yeah, so they're having a charity event. Very excited for that. That's the April 5th. The weekend after that, we're right here, buddy. Allentown, Pennsylvania. Encounter 2K. First place winner getting Enchanted Elsa. Very, very excited. Very, very excited for Enchanted Elsa. Will you be doing CCG this weekend? I will not be doing Charlie's Collectibles. I'm staying home this weekend. Next weekend, I might be driving and hanging out somewhere that I've never been. But this weekend, staying home. I was sick last weekend. I might be going to play in a 1.5K this weekend. That might be happening. So we'll see. But all in all, I'm staying home this weekend. No, nothing for me. I'm going to Miami though. SSG Miami. I will be there. I think 9 members of TFM will be there hanging out at SSG. We're very excited. Last time in February, we only had 4. We only had 4 in SSG in February, and we doubled down this time. We're bringing everybody. There's fortunately no big tournaments up here in Canada. Well, so Canada is large. Are you not near the ETB stuff? The end of the battlefield stuff? Because I know that they've been doing some pretty nice events recently. Hey, Katie, since you're hanging out, right? Like, what? How about talk to me? Talk to me about your. Can your stores still get product, Katie? I want to know. It's the question of the day. How are they doing? For Friendship Mountain? That's, I don't know. Not all of us are friendly. Like I like warm hugs, right? I'm an Olaf fan. I like warm hugs, but not everyone's friendly. I like the the eeriness of the Forbidden Mountain, you know? People are like, oh, what is that? Thanks to you, Dan, I now have Juno stuck in my head. You're welcome. Sabrina Carpenter. Wonderful. Especially that Dick Burns guy. Dick is the nicest and meanest person, which is I can also in some ways say about myself. But yeah, there are reasons that you will love Dick Burns forever, and there are probably reasons why you would despise him. It feels very touch and go. Like the stores that people like got product and sold out, but the stores people avoid have product. An ethical dilemma. Now, why do we avoid? Are they too expensive? Do the stores just suck? Curious. Dan also likes rubbing noses. You got to surprise him and lean into the nose rub. The Eskimo kiss? Is that what we're talking about right now? Oh, that's funny. That's very, very funny. Dick told people I was his brother. Yeah, you guys have the same last name. Duh. Savari, yeah, so Savari Zone, as of last night, I heard that they are at 41 registered players. I am hoping that the prize goes to at least a 1.5K, and that will make it a lot easier for me to drive and hang out this weekend at Safari Zone. There's a local tournament to me this weekend, but it's just like a win-a-box. So I was considering just kind of driving to that and playing in that. But if the prize support for Safari Zone goes up, I will drive the 90 minutes down to Delaware and hang out for the day for sure. Without a doubt. This set release reminds me of set 2. The correlation between Mimp Snakes and Bell is undeniable. The product availability seems similar too. That's interesting. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. You know, I really want to know. I want to know if the player base is communicating well enough with its local game store that they do intend to buy product, right? Like, I think that that's important, because if a local game store, you know, doesn't think that its community is going to buy product, it's probably just going to like buy the same amount. So if for sets, you know, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they only bought 50 boxes, like that's probably all they put in for. They're like, oh, I'll just buy 50 boxes. This is what we've been selling. This is what we're comfortable with. Great. But, you know, if that community has grown slightly over time, and, you know, it's also a great opportunity for new players to come in and new players to kind of like be a part of the game as well, there might not be enough communication with player and store saying like, hey, this is how much I want to buy this time. But it also works both ways. You know, I think the store has every ability in the world. Like, you know, every store in Philadelphia has a Discord, and they're like, you know, here's a pre-order thing. Like, you can go, you can pre-order, you can figure it out. So based on those numbers, stores can make better choices as well. So I do wonder if there's just not enough, communication going on in general from everybody. So they all have to do is make what? I don't know what this means. I just want, listen, whenever I'm paying $40 for a tournament, I said this last night on stream. I don't know if I said it on stream or said it after stream, but like anytime that I'm putting $40 into a tournament and, you know, might I add a 90-minute drive, I can't top 8 and win $10. Like, that's terrible. Stores need to be better. $40 entry fees is ridiculous in itself for a 1K. But like, yeah, you're telling your players like, okay, there's going to be 30-ish players here. It's going to be 6 rounds. If you make top 8, you're going to play all day. You're going to make top 8 and you won 10, like you win $50. You win $10. That's not good enough, guys. Like, either make the tournament fee $30 so you feel a little bit better about it, or find a way to better price structure, add on to the credit in some way, like make it $50 and like 5 packs. Like, just give the players something for being in your store all day and participating. Specifically in a world where, you know, whoever else is in that room is winning nothing. Like, even if you're top 16, you bubbled out and you're 9th, You played all day, you went 4-2, you're in 9th place, and you get nothing. You're like, oh, cool. Like the Encounter does a great job of this, where A, the Encounter does not charge $40 for their tournaments. B, top 16 gets a Lorcana pin. Like they get one of the pins from League and stuff like that. So like, even if you paid your $30 entry, you show up, you top 16, at least you get a pin back, which is basically worth $30. Most of those pins are sometimes worth more than $30. So at least you feel like, oh, like I wasn't perfect today, but I didn't lose, you know? I think that's important. So I think that tournaments, they just need to structure them better. Paying $40 to win 50 in a top 8 is pretty rough. So I just hope that I hope they increase it. I think it's important that at $40 entry with 41 players, that's already 1,600 they're taking in. So at 1,600 taking in, they absolutely need to increase the prize pool. 100% that needs to go to, in my opinion, it needs to match whatever the entry is. So it should just go to 1,600. If they get to 50 players, or like 52, whatever the number is, like it should be scaled to 2,000. So that's just where I'm at right now. They need to make sure that they match it. And if I do get word, if I hear the next day or two that they are going to match that, then I'm 100% going to go and hang out. No doubt about it. It's complicated. Some stores previously price gouged. One store secret set champs. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you have all the problems. Yeah, you have all the problems down in Colorado. All the issues. I love stores that don't want competitive players to know or come to their store. I would not feel good winning. No, I made sure to exclude anyone better than me. I did set champs that was $40, and in the end we found out the prizes was literally it's $40 is insane. Like the buy-in, I mean, especially in these worlds, right? Like, so Charlie's Collectible, their entry fee is $60. I believe they pay out to top 16. I believe they might go to top 32, but I think it's just top 16. But that is not a store, right? That is, like, for anyone that hasn't been there, it's very nice. You should, at the very least, try to get to one of these a year. Like, that's kind of my goal. My goal is one Charlie's Collectibles a year, probably. And if I were local, like closer, I would go to every one of them for sure. If I was in 2-3 hours of this and I could drive, 100%, I would go. But Charlie's Collectible is not a store. It's like a giant flea market that just hosts these card tournaments. There's room for it. So everyone there has to pay a fee for that to be going on. So you have to have that upcharge. But as a store, like you're paying your rent every month regardless. Like you don't need to price gouge. You don't need to price gouge your tournament fee for people to come. What you need to do is make the tournament welcoming for players to come in the door, enjoy themselves, buy a couple packs, buy some sleeves, buy some snacks. By the way, if you're a store that does not have snacks, figure it out. Figure it out. You need to be able to sell snacks in your store. 100% worth it. And even like, there's stores that are like that have like tables fees. Even if you want to work that into your price, like if you have some local like some league thing where your players pay a monthly fee to play in the league. Let's just say like your monthly fee is like $20. That's $5 a week. Like even if you just say like to all of our non-league players, it's $5 more. I'm okay with that too. Like whatever. You want to get your game table fee in there, I don't care. But when you're like so over the top for a prize that's not even like the EV is so net negative. It's so top heavy. It's like I have to be perfect to make this worth it. It's very disincentivizing to people to come to your store. Where in a downtime like this, I'm looking for nothing but excuses to go play the game. But even I'm like, man, do I really want to drive 3 hours round trip? And my goal in any tournament is to make top 8, right? Like, so the minimum prize I'm going to win is $10. I'm like, is 3 hour round trip really, really worth $10 to me? I don't know. So that's just where I'm getting at. I think these stores just need to do a better job of being more welcoming to players. Like the whole point of hosting a 1K, like, yeah, it's for your community, but it's also to grow your community. It's to showcase your store to other players that are willing to drive for bigger events, which is also the whole problem with set championships, is that you have these people that believe set championships should be this locked in thing. And these stores are just so worried about other players coming to their events. Like, if your store is an hour away from me, and I'm very different. I honestly, I don't think I played in any, or no, that's not true. One, maybe two. Maybe I played in 2 of the encounters. No, I think only 1. I think there's only 1 store that I went to multiple set champs for. Every other set champs, I have always gone to a different store in the area. I purposely have gone out of my way and driven further to go to other stores just to meet the community, just to meet the store owners, like just to have a conversation with people. So when you have these store owners that like aren't even allowing it, it's insane. It's stupid. Like, store owners need to understand how to grow their community. They need to understand how to like actually get more people in the door so they can actually make more money. Like, locking it to 8 people, to 16 people is so dumb. Like, so dumb. You know, like if you lock it right now, right? We've seen it, like, it's very difficult because the conversation we're having about product, and I think it's because there's more players, but I've also seen a huge dip. You know, there was other stores in the area that were really more committed to Lorcana, that their local leagues have fallen off, you know? And for these stores, if any of these players just decide, oh, I don't want to play Lorcana anymore, there's no more DLCs. Well, if your set championship over the last 3 set championships has only been 16 people, 8 people, if 1 or 2 people quit, like that's a huge percentage of your players. And you have now like not even allowed to include other players for 9 months to a year. Stupid. I mean, just dumb, guys. Don't do that. CCS got up to a 12K. So did they cap? Did they get to 256? That's my guess. My guess is they capped. I feel the stores are stuck in first step chain mindset. I even, listen, 259. Holy crap. Even in this world, up to cap to 320. Wow. Okay. That's a big room, boys. That's definitely 9 rounds now too, right? Has to be. Interesting. I don't know. I know that this is probably not gonna, it's not gonna sound what people want, but like the fact is that it was a more healthier time for the game when Stitches were the prizes for set championships than Scars were. It's a fact. Like, just 100% fact. I know that like the less competitive players don't want to hear that, but it is a fact that the game was at a more successful state competitively, which does continue grow the game. Like, yes, you need casual players to survive. Like, we need a casual community to make the game stable, but you also need a competitive drive, because the moment that the competitive drive goes away for players, and that's potentially what's happening right now because there's no DLCs. Like, listen, I have team members of the Forbidden Mountain that like have no interest in going and partaking in these third-party tournaments. They don't care, you know? And I get that. Like, I do. But that's why I push them so much, because right now it's all we got. So stores should be way more welcoming, you know? Way more welcoming. I won 3 set championships this series than before, but I can safely say I was one of a few competitive-minded players going to my locals. Fair. Going to my first tournament in Glendale, 5K next weekend. The cap is currently 200. That's awesome. What is that? Oh, that's the Arizona store, the Arizona event, right? I forgot about that one. I feel like that's been less advertised, but I did. Like, so yeah, so that's also next weekend. There's plenty of Disney Lorcana to be played over the next couple weekends. Like, that's a month straight of some like really good events. But I mean, 320 $320 for CCS. That's pretty cool, guys. It's pretty cool. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going well. I think it's hard to complain right now about what's going on. It's the toughest complaint is again the product stuff. Is that what I don't love is that if I wanted to buy more product right now, I would very likely have to overpay for it. So that kind of sucks. But I also don't want it as a player. Like obviously I have my play sets. I don't need any more cards. I'm doing it as a seller. But even then, like the idea that most players in the area probably have to pay 125 plus a box. Tough to say. That's why I normally tell people, hey, just go buy singles. I think it's better. I do. Axie in June is planning to break 300, I believe. Bigger. Yeah, I mean, Axiom is a nice event last weekend. I personally, well-known fact, was not a fan of the idea that it did not include set 7. I think it's a mistake, but you know, people are going to play, so that's good. I think there were several events that would have done better if set 7 was legal for them, in my humble opinion. And there's a lot of success that proves that. Basically every store that allowed set 7 capped out their tournaments well in advance. So anything that was not capped early or felt lackluster, my opinion is because they didn't have set 7 legal. But that's my only thing. But yeah, I don't know. There's some cool stuff coming. So yeah, 2 p.m. today, LCC. You get DKP versus the Rat, Sapphire Steel Aggro versus Ruby-Sapphire Control, Burn Control. Did a little deeper. All in all, seems great. Should be fun. I think the latter half of the week we'll start seeing big retail stores having product. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this earlier. While I think this is great, I don't, you know, are you the target audience for the big box store blister packs? I don't think I'm the target audience for it. Like, I'm not going to walk into Target and buy, again, this isn't chapter 1 where I'm going to like walk in and just buy whatever's on the shelf. Like, you know, I'm not going to walk in and buy $6 blister packs. Like, that's not going to happen. So I don't know. Like, I think it's people that really need the product, that really want the product. Like, maybe they're going to do that. But buying blisters is way less EV than just buying the singles that you need, you know? Like, if, you know, it's one thing if like you go in and you shop for whatever you're there and like, oh, let me grab a pack or two and I'll just try and get lucky. Like, I get that. I understand that, but you're not going to go in there and buy 24 packs. You know, you're not going to buy a box of blisters because that's not smart. Because you're paying like $140 for your box, right? Like, nobody wants to pay $140 for their box. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm hopeful, and that's the other thing, right? Like with set championships being so pushed for May, that's normally when local game stores get to restock their product. But now we're another month away from that since it's not till May. So I wonder if that's going to play a key role too of finding products. I'm very interested to see how product will be handled over the course of set 7, because this is the first time that it really feels like a very weird problem to the state of where the game might have gotten bigger, or there's just not enough communication between player and local game store. So those are the things I'm definitely looking out for, is that like what is going to happen over the next 6 weeks? Like, are stores going to be able to get more from distributors? What new weird bundle is going to come out? Because there has to be another one, right? Like, we got the Lilo bundle. We got the Mickey, the Captain Mickey bundle, whatever. I think there's gonna be another one coming. My guess, my educated guess, is that it will be with Ursula's Return, which we'll start seeing that like Ursula's Return is going to start showing up in some product now, and that's gonna be like a way for them to kind of like push it out of their warehouses and things like that as they make room for other stuff. So that's my guess. We'll see. We'll see. Ursula, Costco. I'll be honest. I feel like Costco got a little burned. I don't know if if Costco had to commit to multiple bundles, then like maybe, but Costco dropping these prices of these bundles in a big way already. They're down to $25 a bundle. I don't know. I don't know if Costco is going to stick around. I feel like there's very chance that Costco is like, fool me once, shame on me. We'll see. I guess it's hard to debate like whether or not what Costco is going to believe is acceptable, but like I think of Costco, Sam's, BJ's, like those stores, they put stuff out and it sells. They don't like stuff doesn't sit on pallets in those stores. So with Costco's getting to a point where they see this product sitting on stores, like sitting in their store, and they got to like lower the price to sell it, to move it, to get the next thing in. I don't know how long that like relationship's going to last. We'll see. I don't know. Hard to say, but I feel like you might just see stuff show up similar to like the Target bundles of like around Thanksgiving for the first chapter bundles. I think those are always going to be easier to sell than a Costco is, than a Sam's Club is, because you have to have a membership to get into those places. Not everyone shops at Costco or BJ's or Sam's Club, right? Like it's not a normal everyday thing for everybody. And there's, for what it's worth, there's also not necessarily a reason for everyone to have that, For me, I have a BJ's subscription, and it's only for like the kids' school snacks and lunches. Like that's the most that we get out of that. So like I go like once every other month pretty much. They're also their gas, their membership, you can literally make it back in just filling your gas tank up, because their gas is always like 40 or 50 cents cheaper than everywhere else. So like that's just like the cheat code for it. If you don't know anything, if you just want to like randomly get big stuff, that's worth it, because their gas prices are normally significantly cheaper than the average gas price. But I don't know. We'll take a look at let me get rid of this real quick as we start to land the plane here. So yeah, round two. Weird. Round two looks a lot close to the same. What are you guys hoping for out of this? Anything that you guys think is missing? Are you shocked about any of these numbers? I said at the beginning, I think I'm really shocked at the lack of Amethyst in general. I still think Fox is a wonderful card, and I think it's very well positioned in the metagame, and people just aren't playing it. No snacks for Dick and Ben. Well, Dick lives 7 hours away, and Ben lives 5.5 hours away. So no, I don't keep snacks for them. Emerald, Sapphire, do something. You say do something good. I just wanted to do something. Just poke it with a stick. The lack of RS is upsetting. I disagree. The lack of RS is wonderful in my playbook. I don't think Pirate Mickey was... It's Mickey Mouse, bro. It's a Mickey Mouse. What is this? What is this? Stop it. Anything. I like it. I like it. It's just sitting there, menacing. Yeah. Yeah, I think I do think Mo's list is good. I think he made the right changes for that deck to be successful in this round. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if the matchup is great. I don't know. But I do think Mo, I think he made the right choices this round, and I do think his deck is a bit better. Friendship bits for forgiveness. I didn't know what that meant yesterday, Katie, because, again, not a Twitch person here. Shout out to everyone that is hanging out on Twitch. And if you did follow the channel during this, I do thank you. I don't have it up. I tried OBS last night, guys. I hated it. I hated everything about it. I feel like if I am going to have to use OBS, I'm literally going to pay someone to sit with me to show me everything I need to do about it, because I can't stand it. I think it sucks. I use StreamYards. I've said this before. I have no problem saying this. I pay almost $1,000 a year to use StreamYards. You know, we talk about content creation and how it's like all woohoo, yippee. Yeah, I pay $1,000 a year just to stream on the platform that I'm streaming on right now, guys. Let me tell you, it takes a lot of views and a lot of likes and a lot of shares to make $1,000 on YouTube. it's not easy. So what happened here? Were you trying to post all the emojis and they didn't work? I think that's what you were trying to do, and it looked like it failed miserably. That's weird. Yeah, you know what? Luke just the other day, it was really funny. Luke messaged me about some YouTube stuff, and I was already asleep. Well, I wasn't asleep, but I was already in bed. I'm like, bro, I can't answer these questions while I'm laying in bed. So like maybe one day, like me and the wizard just gotta like sit down, hour on OBS, hour on YouTube. Bam, solve everyone's problems. I understand everything. I just don't like it, I think that's the real problem. I just don't like it. But yeah, who knows? It worked on chat on my phone. I was like, I know what those are. I know that they are the emojis, but you know, funny. Oh. All right. So we are winding down. Lots to look at this weekend. Tomorrow morning, very, very excited. Very excited. We'll be back tomorrow morning live, and I will have a guest. My wonderful guest is going to be Stardust. She is Stardust Games on Instagram. Pretty great. We're going to be discussing Gamma. For those of you that are unaware, Gamma is like one of the big industries for gaming, and she was there attending a few weeks ago. Got to have chats with Ravensburger, and I had a conversation in DMs with her, and honestly, she enlightened me about some really cool things. And I was like, this is the kind of stuff that I really want to do on these morning streams. I really want to bring people on. I want to talk about other avenues of Disney Lorcana, and I'm very, very excited to talk with her tomorrow morning and just like discuss like some of the industry side of what Ravensburger is doing, why we heard about set 8 before we ever heard about a tournament and things like that. I think there's a lot of nice discussion that's going to be going on. So tomorrow morning we'll be back streaming with the wonderful guest Stardust. Next week I have 2 potential guests already lined up. I'm really hoping to lock down at least an hour committed to disability in gaming. This is a conversation that Dick and I have touched on a couple times, but I had someone reach out actually through the Forbidden Mountain website, which we don't promote at all because I haven't updated it in like 100 years. And they saw the stream last week and they were talking to me about how, you know, I want to have these conversations and I want to like put awareness out for these different things in the game. And I think it's a great subject and they're very educated on it. And I really want to bring her on and have that conversation as well. So that's definitely planned for next week. And I think Lorcana Dad is going to come hang out with us also. We're going to talk about homebrews. So should be fun next week. A lot of exciting stuff going on. So we are hoping for that. But yeah, so tomorrow I'll be back around the same time. I'm losing my voice already. Allergies suck, guys. Still not fully recovered. But yeah, we need more Kylie and Melissa too. All right, listen, guys, I don't know if she's in stream yet. I don't know if she's still hanging out. Tomorrow is Kylie's birthday. Okay. So tomorrow we got to be dropping happy birthdays like all day long for Kylie. It's her birthday. Very, you know, she, unlike me, who I do not care about my birthday very much, just never have. It's not important to me. Kylie loves her birthday. So I don't know who this Melissa girl is. I only know Lizard Kitty. She refuses to go by the name Melissa. So, you know, Women's Month, you're saying that Dick's number one. Dude, allergy season sucks. The more I talk, the more I hear my voice going away. It's depressing. Very, 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 very fair. But yeah, we are going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Should be fun. And then again, 2 p.m. So like an hour from now. I don't know who's streaming yet. Unfortunately, I didn't see the information. But the first round, DKP versus the Rats. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We'll put it on socials when it goes out. So 100%, very, very excited. We'll be back tomorrow morning discussing Gamma with Stardust. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. You guys were all awesome. If you haven't yet, hit the like on the video for me. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. See you guys.